Welcome to Monday Night Live Chat episode 8 with Jersey and me, SteveO. And tonight we are going to talk about how to train your new employees. Not how to from us, but overall, what do you do and all that good stuff. And Jersey loves my intro, so I just wanted to give that amazing intro into this amazing live chat. And how's it going, Jersey?
Who are you, SteveO? Where are you from? What do you do?
I do a lot. You see everything that I do. I work hard. I do it.
Oh, that's true. By the way, I just have to say, hashtag one clip is trending on Yahoo. It's pretty big. But the second worst thing I ever started was when I did a TikTok about people calling me Jerry instead of Jersey.
Oh, I heard about this. I haven't seen the TikTok though. What happened?
Just like people always call me the wrong name. They call me like Jeremy or like Jerry. They'd be like, I'll be like, what's your name? And I'll say Jersey, like the state. And they go, oh, cool. Thanks, Jerry. Jerry. So I said that in like a TikTok, and now everybody calls me Jerry.
Oh man. Just like Jersey Josh, 2 first names.
Yeah. Well, now it's Jerry. It's Jerry Josh.
You love it. Was there something about you're the most famous person on TikTok as well? Something about that going on?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't hear that one.
Wow. You're making it though. Your TikToks are great though.
I have dozens of views, like no joke.
Yeah.
Dozens.
What's the most?
Dozens of views.
Dozens of followers. Dozens. TikTok's amazing. We're not going to go on about that though. But what is new though? Is there anything new that's going on? Not really. No new products coming out. 10 real quickly, because I will mention this. 10% off is still going on the website. If you do want to take advantage of that, I will put that in there for you all on windowcleaner.com. So that's one of our sponsors. Huh?
Such a shill talking work.
Hey, why not?
It's the first time I've ever heard you say anything related to WCR in one of these things. So congrats.
I know. I'm good about that though, I think. But that's a big thing as far as like it doesn't happen much during the spring. You don't really see that much. And boom, my camera sucks. I'm going to figure this out after this episode.
I just want to let the hundreds, if not thousands of people who are watching right now know that there is a GoFundMe to buy SteveO a new camera.
I don't need a new camera. I just need to pay attention to the software and figure out the software. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
I'm going to go on a limb, and I will personally buy you the PDF download of the manual so you can figure it out.
Yeah. It's a nice camera though. I mean, it's
probably super, super dope. And that's why it's doing like we said, when we came in here, I just use like my laptop camera and nothing ever goes wrong. You have like a super fancy setup and it's always like blurry.
The one thing that I did a mistake on was I should have done this in like a matte color so that you wouldn't see like the light in my screen and all that stuff in the background, but
just redo it.
It is what it is. Yeah. Just redo it. Why not? Just go outside, spray paint it. No problem. No problem at all. So let me ask you a question, Josh.
Yeah.
In your business, when you would train employees, would you train them on just actual window cleaning, or would you train them on like what was your, not like your full rubric, but how long did it take to train a new employee to have them out in the field?
So every service is a little bit different, but there's one thing that I always thought when I was hiring new people was that you can't train personality, but you can train what we do. Like, as much as everybody argues about what we do, like a robot could do it, a monkey could do it, right? So that part is easy. Obviously, they may not be as good as everybody who's been doing it for 20 years, but it's the personality part. So I would hire on personality and then train the rest. So after that part, it was really just specific. Like if you were doing route work by yourself, it could take up to 6 weeks, but more than likely probably 2-3 weeks before we just left you out. But if you were water feeding, it'd probably be about an hour before I could like just be like, all right, cool, I trust it.
Right. Yeah. That's what I've always found is that like when first time I heard at storefronts, I was out in within a week by myself. But like first couple days stunk. It was no fun. But like 2, would you like how much time until you say you would train an employee on how to bid something or feel comfortable with employee bidding?
I would let them understand cleaning it first, because if you understand cleaning it, you can look at it and be like, oh, that's a PETA window. It's going to take me a lot longer because of this and this and this, because they knew how to clean it. They could bid it a lot better. If you just like some of these people who are so caught up on like every pane is this much. And if you go so specific like that, you're gonna just, it's just not gonna end well. You kind of have to have the understanding of it. But on that same side, as I have had salespeople who were just dedicated sole sales that never cleaned, never squeegeed, never did anything, and it was all more basically on that same thing where I kind of taught them more or less what to look for, but they never cleaned. So I guess I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah, hypocrite. Dang. Yeah, I found that I always bidded probably like a couple months after I started working at Fish. I was able to bid, but it was they gave you like, okay, second floor is this amount, first floor is this amount. That was it. Yeah, and it was as simple as that. It was $5 second floor for $4 first floor, and it was really simple. But
well, Fish is also a little bit more like they're almost more like specific in how they bid, right? Like it's across the board all the time, and they're used to hiring people who do just sales. So I feel like for them, they're more okay with it just being like a hard, cold, like do this exactly like this. It's all math.
Yeah, it would be very, very certain to like, I believe that like second floor commercial stuff was like $250. First floor commercial was $150. That's when I worked there over 10 years ago. So I mean, I would hope that everything would increase by now. But that's what I used to see as far as prices go. But I get a lot of people who I think like on my videos who will comment and they say it's owners who would never ever have an employee bid. They would not trust or allow like an employee to ever even like touch that or do a quote. So that's my thing is like, and I've worked a lot of places where that kind of is a situation where they want the control over that. And it's really, wouldn't it be given to the employees or even thought of to be given to the employees?
Yeah, that's kind of tricky. I have had people too who are like, hey, I got a problem with like telling people how much I bid. I don't want them to know. And it's like, that's not as much like an issue with the employee. It's an issue with you. Like you're not trustworthy if they're the ones doing the work. Like anybody can do what we do. So if, your number one guy, Bill finds out that you're charging $50 for this job, he could technically go do that. You have to trust that he's not going to.
Yeah, see, and that brings up a good issue in that like who's afraid of letting their employees know the prices, letting them know kind of exactly what you said, the systems of pricing in case that employee would ever want to open their own in that area. I've seen that a number of times with employees where they take that and they kind of run with it if they can, make money. So that's always a scary part too. But I'm always weird about like, non-compete stuff. I mean, I personally, I probably would never go into that because I would anticipate with window cleaning being what it is, that it's possible that person will want to go on and start their own business.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see it all the time, but like, did you do non-competes?
I did, but I also did scratch waivers, and both of those do not hold up in court, but it's just another layer of like people to think. And I have had people who quit and they were going to start their own thing. And they're like, hey, just so you know, your non-compete stated that I couldn't start in these counties. So I'm going to start on this side. And then after 2 years, probably work this way.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Like they did that because of it. So it worked. It just, and I've also had, I couldn't tell you, I bet you I've had at least half a dozen window cleaners who have left me because they saw all the money I made on my Irish, my big throne, right? Because they bring you all these checks. Like, you made $1,000 from us today, but they don't see everything else that goes in it or the work that got you there. So I've had, I mean, probably at least 6 people who have just left, tried to start their own thing, and I never heard of them ever again. So you still got to you still got to be good at business. You can't just be, good at window cleaning and then suck at business, because it's just not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. I totally lost my train of thought of where we were with that. Sorry, me. Any shout outs?
I was babbling. What was that? Any
shout outs you have?
Yes, heck yes. There's a ton of people. I'm not gonna mention one of the guys because he's like, now he's a big hater. He's been making hate TikToks of me, so I'm not even gonna mention his name. But Katie is here. Levi S, what's going on? Name brand, of course, the man himself, Austin, who's covering chat for me to do these things. And the window guys. By the way, Mike, he said, I spent half a day, 1 clip, and rainbow streaks. I went back to 2 clips. Now, before I go and tell you I really like Mike, but I think he's a butt kisser right now. I think he's doing this just to get on your side. See, you're starting with the bigger beard. He go like I got this. He's going for the bigger beard. It's a whole like it's a beard.
I think I might grow this really big.
Yeah,
really big.
Dang.
Like not to the convention. So me and Mike can see each other and get each other's beards. It'd be weird.
This is gonna be a little odd, but hey, it's cool. I do want to say so. Vanderhoff 66FU said that spring is slow. I'd love him to talk about that because I have not heard from pretty much anybody else that spring is still slow. So,
because then you have Jay here who said spring is awesome. I paid for my truck and baked another 15K so far. So, yeah. I mean,
it's up and down. Why is it slow?
Is it weather? As I believe, Vanderhoff, you're up in like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, eastern area, I believe. So I think it could still be colder up there. I don't know. For us, it's just been windy, but it's been very, very dry. So work has been coming in great in our area. Super great. It's just windy.
Here, it usually is like all of a sudden it's nice and it stays nice like for 9 months. But we had this like stuttering spring where it kept like falling back down. And it was like, I literally, people know that I go up to the mountains, but I de-winterized my trailer. And then that next weekend, everything froze and I broke a faucet. And it was like, never does that happen ever. So maybe it's a weather thing. I mean, it could very well be. People have to be in the mindset for it, you know?
Yeah. See, it's North New Jersey.
Yeah.
So that's pretty close to WCR. But I mean, I know that from Alex in that area, it was still snowing and stuff as of even a couple weeks ago. So, but I don't know. It does seem like it's picked back up as far as kind of what's coming in with supply orders and stuff like that. And then I don't know. Though, do you guys feel though that like a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world right now is having an effect on like you see this stuff in Ukraine, you don't see it too much, you know, like
that's a good question because there's stuff always going on. But like high fuel prices, the war threat, COVID threat, like all this other stuff, like, is it affecting our business or are we just in another mindset of like, we're a luxury, like it happens? Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, do the Bentley dealerships fear war because they're in a luxury? That's a great question. I think I would love to hear people's answers to that because that's it's quite because again, if it's weather, I get that, but across the whole nation, you'd think that some things going. I don't think personally that fuel or war is at all fueling anybody's purchasing, but
yeah, no, and I would say fuel too has not been like that hasn't been that bad. It's kind of plateaued as far as like where it's at. So I mean, I don't feel like it's that bad. I mean, in California, places like that, it's definitely really, really high. But I mean, here it hasn't been that bad or that impactful that I would say. I mean, we did have back in 08, 09 similar prices to now, but yeah.
Nice. By the way, if you're watching, go ahead and if you haven't subscribed to SteveO yet, please do that. Give it the thumbs up. All of you give the thumbs up because that'll help us rank this video a little bit better. But missed one just said it's booing for him. He needs to hire help at Lake James, and housing is booming here. So it's going crazy to some certain places, you know.
This is an interesting question from Solar Panel Cleaning Friends. Solar panel cleaning, a luxury service. It's 50-50. It's a weird thing for us. Or was this mentioned earlier and I'm backpacking off of something else that was said here? But I mean, I think that like, is solar panel huge where you are? Did you ever get into that really?
I did it, but I didn't do just that. So you're in California if you're doing just solar panels, maybe in Arizona, but it's a California thing if you're doing just panels. A lot of the times that could be proven wrong, but panels and just panels are glass, they're just angled a different way. So I did them, but it never was. And the other thing too is with people cleaning solar panels, the amount of money that you're technically not making versus cleaning them and what you make. I mean, that's on the fence too when you look at numbers, you know.
I think solar panel cleaning though does come down to like, I think in some areas you have to have it. Where I am, it's never that bad where I've ever looked at a solar panel like, oh, that has got to be cleaned. But it's definitely more luxury money that pays for it. Yeah. The more median houses, I don't find they ever do it or even ever think about it. but it's definitely the homes that just want everything to be shiny that go for it. But I know like Tito Vlogs, he does quite a bit of solar panel cleaning out in California, and he's even got one of those big like brushes like that move and everything.
Yeah.
And I know he gets a lot of work, and that's usually, I find that like most people from California are suggesting, you know, solar panel cleaning kits. It's definitely popular out there for sure.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is like the less amount of rain, the more panels tend to need to be cleaned. You know, where you had like when I was in Wisconsin, we had a lot of solar, not a lot. We did have, I've probably done, you know, a few hundred panels, maybe that's it. But we had enough panels. It's just we also had weather, so they didn't need to get as cleaned as like when you're in certain parts of California where the rain just like doesn't really come. So, and yeah, solar panel cleaning friends just said, I'm in California. I do mainly panels, all res. We work year round. So
he makes a good point here though, and he says it's also good for the lifespan of modules. Plus, most warranties require it nowadays. I have had calls where the customer said, if I do not get my panels cleaned, they are going to take off the warranty. So I've only had that happen every twice, but I mean, that's something that happens too. How they rate that, I don't know, but I mean, that's true.
I would love to ask a question to him and anybody else who does solar, to scrape or not to scrape on a panel. Love to know that. But another thing real quick is the traveling gems. I'm starting on a Rock Hill. Heard you were in Charlotte, Jersey. Yes, right outside of Charlotte. No luck getting clients yet, but I'm out here door dashing and delivering groceries, and that is showing up, which is making me worry, or slowing up, which is making him worry. A big thing with it is coming into this season, you should be swamped with work. You should be right now going in, should be the busiest time of your entire year. So if you're not getting customers, there is probably some type of issue in why you're not getting customers. So I would look at just kind of what you're focusing on and really, really working. If you don't have 8 hours of cleaning to do, you can still work on your business for 8 hours. So something to kind of think about.
It's a very, very good point. Another question that C-scribe to scrib, benefit of subcontractor or hiring an employee. Looking to expand my team, been a solo for years. I mean, what would you go with right away?
Yeah, it's an employee. Like subcontracting, if you're trying to get a sub, there are so many laws and restrictions. You can't tell them what time they have to show up. You can't tell them what tools to use. You can't give them tools. You can't have them wear any of your logoed clothing. They can't drive any of your vehicles. They absolutely can do nothing in the face of your company. Everything has to be different. And I want to be in control of what you wear. You better look good and you better be wearing my gear. You better show up in my vehicles. They better be wrapped. You know,
how controlling, Josh.
How controlling. If you have an image, you have to control what the image looks like. Otherwise, everybody else controls it, you know? Otherwise, if I don't control my image, I'll turn out like Just Jacob, you know? I'll just look like that. And then I'll like, that's his image. And then it's like all downhill from there.
I would say that, yeah, I mean, I haven't had that many good experiences with subs. Like, I've seen a lot of people have subs and you meet them once and you never meet them again. Yeah. I've seen that in one person's business. I used to do a house with them every month, and every month was a new person with them. And it was always subcontracting. It was always like from some hiring firm. It was like, it never freaking works. Never.
It doesn't. If you really think about it, like if you subbed me work, awesome, because you're subbing legally right. You're subbing your work to my company. When it's not that way, all of a sudden they're 1099 guys, right? And all of a sudden now they have to have every legality of the thing. They don't care. They're going to go find some other thing, or they're going to not sub work from you and they're going to go do it on themselves because they're their own company. If you are having employees, now they're tethered to you and kind of have to, at least you control kind of how that whole thing works out. So I'm not a fan of subs, not at all. Not even the legalities of it, because they're so tight now that like, I don't even think legally you can have subs. I think there's a big issue. Like, I mean, they make it so, you know, they make it so that because they want to track it too. They want the money. So.
Yeah. Oh, see, I'm booked till July. This is from him again, C-Scribe. I'm booked till July and looking to get some overflow jobs covered. That's why I need a sub. he doesn't want me to hire him. Well, yeah, that's pretty much all the reasons Josh listed. It's exactly why.
What's the reason he doesn't want to be hired? And
Yeah.
if he doesn't want to be hired, wouldn't you? I mean, if he owns a window cleaning company now and you want to sub work to him, I guess. But then how well do you know him? How much of that work is he going to take off your hands for you permanently?
Yeah.
You know, and if he doesn't work for another company, then you're paying a lot of money to sub somebody that doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah. What was another one I got here? KD Window Cleaning would like to ask the solar panel installer and manufacturer about the benefits before I'd make an investment into marketing to it. I was going to say that I don't even think you really need to make an investment into solar panel marketing as much as you could just add it onto your estimate of any house that you see it and you already have the equipment, just add it on there. And I don't know. I think once you have window cleaning or any of those pressure washing, you could just simply add that on to bids and say, hey, I'm offering it now, and start there and start to get experience. And then I don't know if you'd really ever need a market for other than adding it to your services from there and getting it going like that.
Here's one thing too. If you're going to start into something like solar, just understand all of the like perks, the selling points of solar. And then every job you're there, oh, hey, I see you have solar panels. By the way, if we clean the windows, you'll get a 12.5% increase in solar energy, blah, 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 blah. You can just sell it at that point. And by the way, all of you who are watching right now, comment with just one word, either sub or comment with employee, because it sure seems like everybody's like back and forth. It doesn't feel like there's one consensus here.
No, not at all. So he said currently owns his own, but he's new to my area. Assuming I'd have him sign a non-compete. Yeah, man.
Here's the thing, and I'll always say this to somebody is that when people say the fact that they go, I get hired because people like me, I couldn't have employees. Well, just because you don't have employees, you don't realize they don't care about you. They just care about having a connection with somebody. So here's the thing. I've had jobs where my operations officer, great guy, we had the flu come through. So I ended up having to like clean. 3 of our guys were out at one time. So I'm out there cleaning windows, right? And the guy walks up to me to hand me a check. He goes, I'm sorry. I just feel more comfortable if I gave this to Gary. And he turned around and walked my check to Gary. Gary grabbed it. I said, no, absolutely. I understand. We got back in the truck and he handed it to me. Like, it doesn't matter that they like you. They just have to like somebody. Now, what if he's a sub and they really like that guy and that guy's leaving? Well, then that guy goes, hey, by the way, I'm not doing this. I'm doing it on my own. Well, he doesn't like you anymore because he's got this new face and now he really likes the face. And it's like form or nothing. I mean, he then has the potential to kind of take it. Same thing as an employee leaving would have technically, but in that same sense is it's just a little bit more little dangly in front of them,
See, I'm nice. For people in my area, when I have too much overflow, I just give them the work. Give them 100%. I say it's yours. I'm a nice guy, That's what I do. Just pass.
Not everybody's nice like you, Steve.
But no, I agree. And that probably having employees best. There is a lot of stuff that comes on with subcontracting. We only had one ever that we did, but it just worked out that way that we did that. And he was good and worked for us for a season. But after that, he knew he was going to go away though. And we knew. And he actually works for another company here and has done really well over the years. But yeah, I think though, would you think, I don't know what area, but I feel like with window cleaning, sometimes like even in our area, it was hard to hire and keep people all year round. And that's one thing too about the employee part. And sometimes why, I'm not hiring employees, Jay, but thank you, buddy.
I totally, I do agree on, keeping people. That part's hard. We did seasonal unemployment. Like, you could say, I don't want to work through the winter and take 3 months like unemployment. And that was cool. But the other people, it just gave them more hours for like snow and everything else. And you got to find the right person that can just scratch along like that too,
Right. And Jay, to answer your question of why I don't want to hire employees, it's kind of exactly what Katie Window Cleaning said, in that like right now with everything that I do, I am at my like peak of what I could actually handle as a person. And trust me,
you're peaking in life right now. You're doing pretty well. I'm thinking. You know.
So I am not in any need to do it. And I enjoy exactly where everything's at. And it's just a perfect blend.
There's really 2 schools of thought in business too. And Jay's in the type like I was, where there was no cap. there was growth. That's all growth. And I'm going to do everything I can to allow growth to happen. And then there's other sides like you or a lot of people who are like, you know what? I want to have a really controlled, strong company that's really healthy. And that's it. I don't need to be the biggest $1 million company out there. I want to be happy in what I'm doing. There's two schools of thought, and both of them are absolutely correct.
Yeah. And that's where we've always been at. And I've just always liked is, I think I've been and managed, many employees, never owned with many employees as much as I managed with, but even managing, it was like, it was hell sometimes. It was complete hell, and it just, I remember sometimes like being at a job, you look around and you see a couple of people on their phones. You're like, gosh, dang it. It's always something to keep everybody in line. And I didn't ever want to be, like a worry wart over everybody. And that doesn't create a good environment. There's so many things.
It is like herding cats at some point, because there is, and this sounds really stupid. Don't take this as a negative thing, but there's this herd mentality. And that is a real thing. If you got 10 employees and there's one you, if those 10 employees, one employee says, hey, you know what we should do is go on a smoke break, all 10 employees go on a smoke break. So it's herding cats because they're following a different leader because they're closer connected to them,
Yeah, exactly. No, I get it, Jay. I know you're just curious, but that's just how I feel about it. Real quickly, Nick Wisda. Is it bad to leave trad poles out in the rain? Shouldn't be. Did you have a problem?
I would not leave carbon in elements in general.
Well,
I mean, it's water. There's nothing really going, but what happens in water is stuff splashes in it, things get dirty, and I don't know. I just saw somebody was leaving their pole in the sun. Like they had it up in a rack and it was in the sun for like 3 months. It was one like super just like beat up looking. I don't know if you saw that. Somebody's carbon fiber. I'm like, I would not leave it out in the sun.
That's where the pink like turned white or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't do that just because it's carbon fiber. Like it is a resin-based, like fiberglass. Fiberglass gets brittle. It's the resin that gets brittle. So same thing with carbon fiber. Carbon fiber can get brittle if it's left out in, too much crap. So it's probably not a bad thing, but I wouldn't do it if you could help it. If it's like one time, I wouldn't really care.
Right. So Nick asked a good question here. What does subcontracting entail? What are the terms commonly? Well,
Nick's asking great questions, by the way.
Yeah. Pretty much what they got to have they need to have everything that basically you have as a business, because I mean, if they break something, they should be responsible. Usually pay them on like a percentage. They pretty much have their own vehicle, everything. There's a lot that comes with it. Unfortunately,
you're in essence, you're hiring a company. Even if Steve is the company, you're hiring a company. So everything, if I hired Steve to come do my windows right now, I could tell him the time I probably want him to be there, but I can't I don't give him a shirt that says Jersey and he has to wear it. I can't tell him he can't use he shows up as a company and I have to trust in his company's way of doing things. That's really the simplest, watered down version.
Yeah. Ronnie Bill says, my black trad 12 looks great from being in the sun. That will happen from UD wrap black. That will happen over the years of definitely with like a trad pole. I've seen that happen with any UD wrapped carbon fiber pole over the years. That will definitely happen. But getting back to training employees, well, we kind of went over. Let's just talk about it. What do you train them on with technique? With pole wise, I always try to do straight pulls with the pole. If they wanted to learn fanning from there, I'd let them learn fanning. And then I always try to teach fanning as far as by hand. And then if they could two pull a window, they could two pull a window for straight pulls. I was always about trying to get them out and get them efficient as quick as possible. And then they could learn more and more and more. And it's just, it's situational. There's so many things like that. But that's where I just always thought basics. I wasn't too much about your hand need to be here and your hand need to be there. It was just, I want to get you out clean and get you going.
Yeah. Employees are expensive. So the faster you can get them to making production, which even if production for them is like $50 an hour, that's at least making you something. Well, they're still kind of learning. So that's why I love Waterfed so much, is because you can have somebody in, they're making full pay in an hour's time,
Right. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, that's what I always found was that worked well for that. And then I don't know what else goes on with the training.
Yeah, training is one of those things where training every person is different because every person already knows certain things differently. There's some people who have never had a squeegee in their hand, but like the first time cleaning a window, they can fan pretty darn well. You know, that person doesn't need to learn the fundamentals like some guy who, cleans a window for the first time and it looks like a horse sneezed on it, Like that guy just takes more time. It just takes more, it's a different training per person.
How quick do you give a scraper?
Oh, I'm not scared of scrapers at all. They get scrapers right away. Like, we called it our trunk. Here's your trunk.
Man, I posted a video where I scraped a window in Pro. I've never been so beat up about a video in my life because I scraped a window. And what I realized out of it is how many of you all are so scared of scrapers.
Yeah.
I could not believe it. Like, it's pretty regular practice if you're a pro window cleaner to like understand when and when not to use a scraper. And if you understand when and when not, like if you can use a scraper on a glass, I mean, I feel like it's always the best thing you could possibly do to get that glass really thoroughly clean. But man,
it's the fastest, easiest, like I had a guy one time who was, I think he did a post and it was on one of these Facebook ones where he must have been new. I don't know. And that's cool. Like people can treat other people however they want, but he asked about, there was some spot overspray, real light. He said there was like 4 or 5 pieces of paint on the window and he didn't know what to do. He's like, I don't know what to do. I mean, this window is going to take me, 30 minutes if I'm using all this stuff to really break it down and it's just not coming. I said, use a razor. And he went, no, the paint is on the glass, buddy. Duh, idiot. Like, I didn't know that. You're a window cleaner. I'm pretty sure it was on the glass. People are scared because there's the possibility of scratching something. People just don't understand the concept. I still have people tell me that tempered glass is softer than standard glass. That doesn't even make sense. That literally the tempering process makes it harder. It makes it harder. But people are like, no, bro, I know, man. I know. It's like, well, then if you know in your head, then don't do it. But don't tell me I'm wrong because you have something made up in your head.
Right. I used to be under the impression a long time ago you couldn't scrape tempered glass, and then you just start trying it. Like there's some you can't always do it. Like I've scratched windows. Yeah. There's just some that you'll do it. It just happens. But you can definitely do it. But it just surprised me on how many people got really frustrated by it. And I was just thinking like that just shows a lot of people don't either learn it or they're so afraid of it that it would ruin their company if they scratch a whole house or a business that they won't even play with it all. I get it. It's not a bad thing, but I was surprised. I was shocked by it.
I had a house one time and I think there was a coating or something on there, but they had just gotten done making a patio and the cutter guys that were cutting the brick got dust on everything. We came in and washed it. Well, the dust, I don't know if it was the dust or the blade or what, but I had a couple of windows that one of my guys did. He scratched them with a scrubber. Like he didn't have enough water on the scrubber, apparently. So the particles weren't floating, but being pressed. And that brick pieces, like the dust kind of scratched it. In the sun, you could kind of see it. And so people are like, oh yeah, scrapers scratch glass. It's like anything can scratch glass in the right crappy conditions. It doesn't mean not to do it. Because again, I can clean a window that has paint on it in 10 seconds with a razor.
Jay makes a really good point, and this is exactly what I say too, actually. If you hear a sandpaper sound when you put the razor to the glass, that is a perfect time to stop. Especially if there's no paint on the glass and you hear that, boom, stop. That is a very, very, very good point. One thing Victor Garul put up here, he had a job where there were fingerprints and handprints in between the glass. And my client said, I didn't know what I was doing. I've seen this before with e-coating, where literally the e-coating prints that come up are like handprints and smears. Have you ever seen that before?
I've seen the craziest thing ever was a full hand. Well, it was like most of the hand in between the panes of a thermal pane.
Wow.
So somewhere in the something they did it and didn't wipe it. And over time, as it was just kind of sitting there, you could see it in the right light. It was nuts.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've never seen it in the coating though.
Yeah. And then let's see here. Oh, is this Mark Tanner, Katie Tanner?
I don't know.
That's gotta be Mark. That's gotta be.
Maybe.
I just worked for a company in Ohio. Employees scratched 100 windows. Replacement cost $120,000. What were you able to do it for, Mark? I'd wonder.
Yeah.
We got to have Mark on here sometime to talk about it. He's got some really good, really good stories about some of the stuff he's done, and it's crazy. I would never want to get involved in restoration.
I know guys that do just restoration. I know 2 guys out in Hawaii. They're actually like pilots, and they just do nothing. They have like 3 systems. That's all they do is go between like casinos and hotels, and they just like do the rotations and fix glass. So it's doable, but those guys got to be really good when they're spending 8 hours doing glass every day like that.
Right, especially for restoration, because that's not cheap either.
Yeah,
not cheap at all. Yeah. Thought you said only a diamond could scratch glass. Even seen
glass can scratch glass. Like a diamond can only scratch a diamond, glass can scratch glass. It's all about the Huns scale. Huns, whatever. It's a hardness scale. But the tip of a razor is not hard enough to scratch glass. So it is impossible for a tip, the fine point of a razor, to scratch glass. Now, if you gouge it with the corner, now you're changing all that hardness in that thing.
Yeah. Nick asked, have you ever tried a blue pad or a scrub daddy on glass? I've never tried a blue pad, but I've heard they don't scratch.
Really?
But
those pads, I've always been a little leery.
Well, I know the red. If you get to the red, that will definitely scratch.
Yeah.
Like the red.
Technically, yeah, a 3-0 steel wool doesn't scratch all the time, because I know people have used it in a pinch or used it in an accident and it's not scratched. So maybe it's the same thing where some cases it could, some cases it couldn't.
Right.
So the scrub daddies, I've seen that on Shark Tank, but never actually touched one until literally like this weekend. I saw one and I was like, oh, it's like a rock. I didn't know that. I thought it was like a sponge. It's like super crazy hard.
Because somebody mentioned to me that they've been using that for cleaning windows, and I thought, well, I know that was a possibility, but that's another use for it to be the best money-making thing for Shark Tank ever.
That's what I heard. I don't get it. I don't get why sponge market is such a thing, but
it's the little things, man. It's the little things. JP, stupid question. I haven't heard about restorations. What exactly is that? That's just like if there's scratches to glass or hard water that is just like layers upon layers and it really needs to be restorated. Mark is probably best one at it as far as like in the business and or taking scratches out of glass and just doing the impossible and not having to replace it, making the glass almost look brand new. Yeah.
Actually, if you do it right, you can pretty much, I mean, you can do it bad too, but some of those guys, man, it's phenomenal to watch just them work. It's the only, if you have to do restoration like that, especially with scratches or hard water restoration or things, you can do that with chemicals sometimes, but you can do it a lot better with tools and other things. So
yeah. See, and Mark says no green or red as far as those pads go. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to try one of the blue ones sometime. But I between walnut pads now and white pads and steel wool, I feel like it's pretty good, but you don't need anything else.
I really like the walnut pads. I know people kind of hated on them a little bit because they were like the precursor to bronze. They're not as like scrubbing, but they seem to last longer, and they really just kind of, they don't lint, they don't crush. I kind of dig them. And they're like $2 a pad.
Yeah, and they actually last a long time. They fit on the Techno Pad holder. They don't get all the little felt into the Velcro. They're good. They really are. I think they're better than white pads for sure. So
are you going back to bronze if they ever come back?
Oh yeah. But I don't think they're ever coming back. No? I think it's just it's just that I could see why the manufacturer stopped making, because the market is just so small for it.
Furniture polishing and us.
Well, and you look at the pads when they used to be stitched, and you think about like that may not be a lot of work. Like maybe that's super quick, but to think about like that's only that at the time was only selling for like $7 or $8, and you're making a bunch of those pads. And I think that's partially what the manufacturer said is like the time put in to like making these things, shipping them off, and like what they made was not worth it. And we're a small market. I don't really know who else would really use ultra fine bronze wool pads. Like what else was that being used
for? Furniture polishing is it.
Yeah.
So
Let's see here.
I gotta get a sewing machine and make a couple pads and then
You can make a lot
millions.
of money. I had a really cool customer who sent me 2 4x9 bronze pads. Yeah, be jealous.
He's like, hey, I can make these for you, $27 a piece.
$50 a piece. JP never liked bronze. It didn't seem to last. Why should I use walnut instead of white pads? I just found the walnut was a little bit more abrasive, I felt like. But you can do what you want. Yeah.
It's like walnut shell impregnated in a white pad. So like when all the walnut shell's gone, you still have a white pad.
Now think about this. I think I heard you say about this. If you have a nut allergy, can you use a walnut pad?
See, I looked into that, and it's the shell of the nuts that are not, there are no allergens in the shell to most people.
So I don't know. Oh, so it's not. So it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not the image.
Not the shell that has the issues.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I thought bronze only scrub good for a house or toe. What does that mean? What does toe mean? You can use them on pretty much anything. I used them on Techno Pad all the time. Man, I loved them though because they were like a one-step thing for home windows. You could scrub a window down with that and you were good.
Yeah.
You probably never used them, did you?
I did, but not like professionally. I used them for my own like windows I've done.
Right.
I've done tests and stuff, but I didn't use them regular.
They really weren't in the market that long. If you think about it, what, like 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, they like got discovered like too late almost, you know?
Well, and then we started running out of them because of my Techno Pad kit with the 3 pads. And when that got popular, well, it just was what it was.
My Techno Pad. It's IPC Eagle. You don't own it, Steve-O.
Yes, it's mine.
It should be yours.
I should get a market share or something about that, but I don't. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. We're reading the questions. Keep up with the questions, by the way. These are awesome, awesome questions. By the way, Zen, he said that you can buy that. He likes that 5-pound steel wool, and you can buy it from Steve-O or Jersey. He threw me in there, so I appreciate that.
5-pound roll. Let's see here. Nicholas has a question. So I've been working Windows professionally for 3 years now for a company, and I want to start doing Windows by myself. What's the best way to get into it and be able to make money? It's a big question.
I've been working Windows professionally for 3 years, and I want to get into how to get it. So are you still working for the other company? Tell us that. Because if you are, then like do it the right way. Like there's still ethics involved. Like ethics should be, I think, should be on everybody's kind of forefront anyway. But
yeah, so you would see if you have a
non-compete if you're in the area, if they're like still good, like if they got a relationship. Like the big thing is the biggest thing when people try to start a business is because they're so scared to make that initial loop or that initial jump. As somebody who's been basically like relying on themselves for like 20 years, the scariest part is the first part, and that's why people overthink it. They're like, "Oh, before I do this, I need my logo, and then I gotta get business cards, and I gotta get it." And it's like, or you could do that while you start. Like people are like, "Well, I don't want to start the wrong way." It's like everybody anywhere has started the wrong way. That's literally how you start a business, is the wrong way, and you get it figured out. You know?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think it's taking that dive, and that's it. I know I was scared for a long time to take the dive into my own company for a long, long time. I would just talk to Alex about it all the time. Like, I think I'm going to do it. And it got to 2 years, and it's like, well, just do it already. Yeah. It's a scary thing to leap, but it's just the leap you got to make if you really feel like you want to do it. And the nice thing is that working for someone and knowing you like it and starting a company, that's a good thing. Sometimes it's scary when you're just going into it and starting it. You don't know if you like it. You don't really know the business. So now that you know that you like it, that's a good thing as well. Yeah, I think.
Well, the other thing is if you're out in the woods and you're like, man, I'm sure I'm hungry. You don't just sit around thinking about all the ways you're going to eat. If you're really, really hungry, it forces you to go eat. That's business. Like as soon as you get into business, people are like, what if I fail? Well, what if you crash your car on the way to your 9 to 5? Like anything can happen, but now you're in control of what happens. Like if you want to succeed, you're in control. Like who was the guy that said that it was really, really slow? He's in control of if it's slow or not right now. Like being able to take that and take that control is absolutely, I mean, it's only up to you. Like I always say this, and this is like the crappiest thing that I ever say, but if a business fails, it's because of the business owner.
It's true.
100%.
Yeah. I think it's usually because you just don't go for it hard enough. You don't commit hard enough. And I think that's what I see a lot of, like, in talking to a lot of people, is just not enough commitment. It's like, well, I don't know if I want to pay for that. Or it's sometimes, even saying this as a sales rep, you think buying the equipment is going to get you the work.
Right.
That's one of the things I see quite a bit, where it's like, wait, slow down, like get some work, or at least have a list, or you've done something already that's going to start getting you those clients. And that's a good move. But that's one of the biggest things that I see sometimes that scares me, and seeing people start a new business. Yeah.
That one of the tricky things is people who get to a point and they go, I think if I get this Ettore instead of this Unger, I think the it's really going to make me faster. And it's like, or you could, instead of, I could see you're online for 3 hours, in chat, you're looking at stuff. Those 3 hours, you could just get on one window and clean that window. And guess what? After 3 hours, you're really fast. There's a lot of kind of in and outs of kind of the specific. Same thing with business. Is like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be any good at it. Well, do it and then be good at it. Just be good at it. Like,
right.
If you want to be good at it, you're good at it. A basketball player who's really good at basketball isn't good because somehow he, ate the right cereal. It's because he practices 9 hours a day and he's going to be really good at it because he wants to be really good at it.
Yeah. Nick Wazada asked another good question. You charge extra for first-time cleans? I do, unless I do sometimes. If it's like a one-time thing, and I know the customer, it's like, well, do you want to schedule for regular cleans? No, I just want to see how the first one goes. Okay, that one I'm usually going to charge more for. But if they're like, for sure, I want to sign up, I want regular cleans done, then most likely, unless it's just horrible, I didn't usually charge, just to have that like good rapport, unless it was like over the top, like construction. It was going to be hours and hours compared to what the job would take. And then for homes, with homes, it's just construction cleaning and regular cleaning. There's nothing there. But I would say if you had to do it, I would just charge double for like a first time clean, I would say.
Yeah, I never really did unless somebody said, I always ask frequency. Do you want to do it this often, or what's your thoughts? And if they're like, just a one time, I would always charge for a one time, because I don't need to build loyalty with a customer who's using me one time. Like, I'm going to be cleaning 10 years of dirt off instead of, 1 year because they didn't want to do it. Like, it just is that way. But for the most part, I wouldn't. And I have to jump in and say real quick to Damien, who is like one of the biggest American Window Cleaner magazine fans out there. I just want to say what's up, man. That's all. Continue.
What's up? Okay. Well, alrighty.
Yeah.
Ronnie Bill had a cool comment though. He said, my father had about 45 full-time window cleaners. If someone wanted to go out on their own, my father gave them ladders, tool, and customers. My father did everything he could to make people successful. And that's a pretty cool thing. And that's why I feel like with window cleaning, like even when new people pop up in your area, there usually is enough windows for everybody. Like I could count on my hand as many times as like I've really came to a bid and other window cleaners there bidding, like in my whole 14 years of doing it. Like it doesn't happen very much. It doesn't happen very much that you meet yes, some people just change their window cleaners just to get a new window cleaner, but like there's always a lot of work out there. And that's a pretty cool story that he would do that. I think so.
I am always, as soon as I see somebody new, like a new window cleaner, I will go up to them and invite them over to my shop. Like, dude, let's hang out. I'll buy you lunch, man. I want to say what's up. And they're kind of like off put at first, but it's like, no, dude, do your thing. Like, I would 100% rather have a friend in the industry than an enemy. Like, I had 3 window cleaners who didn't like me. One super duper scammed me, and the other 2 were like old timers who were literally the only 2 window cleaners in my town for like 20 years. And I was the first one to like come into their town and like steal their people or whatever, and everybody else, I was friends with every other. If any window cleaner who had started after me could come and hang out, they would just stop. I was in the area. I just want to say what's up. I'm like, what's up, man? Like, it's so much more beneficial that way.
Yeah. And it's good to be like chill with the other window cleaners around your town, because you can network, or if you can't do a job, You can have them do it, and usually your customer will still call you back, hopefully. And then it's still your customer, but you found somebody for them at that time. I don't think that's a bad thing to do either. I don't. So, yeah. Did you ever do contracts? This is a question from Elijah.
Yeah. I think it's a good conversation, because technically a contract gives you value to your company, but I never did contracts. And I still sold my company. So what does that tell you, I guess?
That's one thing Chris always talks about. If someone ever says, like, you know, what you should always preparing from day one to like act like you're selling your company. Contracts is one thing, you know, to add value. But like, I don't know, we never did it. We never had problems with it, but I definitely sucked when a huge job that was $2-3 grand a month, just boom, all of a sudden 60-day notice, you know, suspension. And then all of a sudden after that, done.
But would that piece of paper have kept them there? That's what I always like rack on my brain. Like, here's the thing. The truth of it is if I bought your company right now and you don't do contracts, all I'm buying is a list of people who like window cleaning. That's it. That's not always worth a lot of money. You know, contracts at least go, hey, these people have told you, they're kind of guaranteeing that you're going to be doing work. But yet, if somebody doesn't like you and they canceled, well, if it's a money thing or it's they don't like you or anything, I mean, are they really going to follow what a piece of paper says anyway?
We purchased, well, I was with Jim, purchased, let's see, about 90, I would say 90 grand of work per year from a company. Within the first 3 months, I would say we lost half of it. And it was all due to that the person who left really didn't give them the correct story what was going on, kind of told them a BS story. But then it was the other thing of that they just liked him. Yeah. It wasn't anything about the work we did or anything. They just liked him. And that's one of the big things too with a lot of that stuff is like exactly what you said. It's a list, especially with residential customers. Like if you get along with the customer really good, they're almost having you over just to like chat about life. And like I saw that many times as you're inside the house, like chatting about life and just they want to see you, want to know what's going on. And so that's a big thing too of like why it's so freaking hard. But you're exactly right. And like, will that piece of paper really stop them from going somewhere else? You know,
the other thing, and I'm not talking about you in particular, but every time that I bought a company or acquired a company, I would always go with the owner because the owner, I didn't buy any companies. I don't think any of the companies I had were like big enough that they didn't know the owner, right? So I'd always go with the owner. Just keep thinking you're flicking at me here. But I would go in and I would be like, hey, you know, Scott would go, hey, I just want to let you know that we're kind of moving on to some things, but I found this really great company. I wanted to introduce you. And I'd be like, hey, man, it's really, and they would get to know me just like they got to know him. At least even be like, oh, this guy's on the same page. Like we'd explain everything. And then, oh, it's so sad to see you go. Don't worry about it. I will keep him in the loop. He loves you guys. He wants to know that you're taking care of, like, all of a sudden I leave and I kept 100%. Every company, and again, there was people that left over time, but like every company and acquisition that I did, I kept 100% of that company within, I would say the first 3 to 6 months, I had 100% retention. You know, from there people move or they close the doors or something like that, but it was so low. It was so low. And it was because of the transition of it was like, hey, I know you love this guy. I care about it just as much as that guy. Let's build a relationship.
Yeah, our transition, it just wasn't good. It wasn't fluent. There was too much of like letters were sent out, but there was just confusion. Like still when you got there to the job for the first time, who are you all? Oh, well, we're taking over for XYZ and we're ABC. And it's like, well, I never got anything. Well, there was this letter. And it was like, you would think all this stuff was delivered and it just, it wasn't good.
Well, that's the part too that they already feel because you're a contractor. Now you're a new contractor and you're going right back into like the biggest thing is trust. Nobody trusts a contractor before they get to meet you, right? Or talk to you. Now nobody trusts you. And they're like, this dude is scamming me. Like, what? Wait, nah, I don't like this. You know, they get a bad feeling. Comfort's not there. They're not buying.
Yeah. Now here's a good question from Joshua Rodriguez. Today started to feel the heat. Here in South Carolina, I get exhausted. Any safety tips during the summer apart from staying hydrated? Oh, man. Staying hydrated is the main one. Pedialyte at night. That can help. I know that's another hydration thing, but that's a big one.
Have you ever gotten hit with heat stroke before? Have you ever gotten it?
I haven't. But I've never lived in an area that's probably gotten as bad with like humidity and heat as other places, though.
Dude, I've had it maybe two times for real. one time for like real. I was working a lift too, and we were cleaning 2 guys in a basket. So I was running the lift, and I like, as I'm standing there, I like kind of stepped back and I like stumbled, but I'm in a basket. And the guy next to me like looked at me, he's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "No, man, like I tripped over the foot pedal. I don't even know how I did that." And we kind of like laughing. All of a sudden it kicked in, dude. I was like down in the basket. They had to like lower me. I couldn't get past the building. I couldn't walk. Like I was like super jacked up. And it was like, well, I feel a little weird. All of a sudden I'm like, I can feel like I'm getting a headache. This is super weird. I got to drink some water. Let's go down. Like super. Yeah. Like I went, like there was a restaurant on the backside and the guys like all stopped. Everybody was like getting me sodas and like cookies and stuff to try to get my sugars. And it was no fun, man. Heat stroke sucks.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never had anything like that. I've had days where you get the shakes when you're out, but we always just like keep a lot of food around, keep a lot of drinks around. That's all you can do, you know?
You know what? The greatest thing, which is the nerdiest thing, and I'm old enough to be a nerd, is a big hat with a big brim. Like to keep the sun off of you is 100% like you'll fix everything if the sun is not on your face all the time. Your brain is there. Like if
like a Rambo camo hat. Like why not? Like why not? Gotta do it. Yeah.
That will look like
a fishing hat. Why not? Yeah.
It's also nice to not get bleach in your eyes when you're spraying the top of like a deck and you're walking, you know?
Oh yeah, I know that feeling. It's bad. Oh man. Let's see here. Anything else before we go?
No, man. You guys had some really good comments today. That's all I gotta say on that.
Yes.
It was good conversation.
Yes. Well, it is 7 o'clock, so that is it. Jersey, do you want to do the outro since you hate my outros?
No, I don't hate anything you do, SteveO. If you guys don't know who SteveO is, make sure to follow his channel because this is why he does this, so he can be internet famous. So do that, follow that. And if you guys need any supplies, of course, you can call any of us, but this is SteveO's channel, so call SteveO, order your stuff. If you haven't yet gotten a subscription to American Window Cleaner Magazine, shameless plug of the day for me. I know Damien has because Damien's absolutely awesome, but get your subscription. Go to awcmag.com to get that subscription. And yeah, you guys need supplies, so why not use us as reps?
Yes, use us. All righty, y'all. Well, I hope spring's going good. And yeah, that's it. That's my outro. See you later.
See you guys later. #1 clip.
2 clips.